On this episode of Locked On Angels, do players want to help build a winner, or do they just want to play for a winner? And do the prospect rankings actually matter anymore? And we're going to give you an update on Roki Sasaki and the Halos. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to get back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, please help us to get to 10K by opening day. Hit that subscribe button, become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube and leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Gametime. You can download their app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Fresh Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John, who got me sick.
How did I get you sick?
I don't know. You were sick first, and now I'm sick. Now I sound like I'm speaking with my nose plugged. So
yeah, this is the time of year where both of our voices change, not because we're turning into teenagers or anything like that. We're both sick at this time of year. So thanks for being here with us. Listen, it's our third off season here. We're getting ready for our fourth full-time season here at Locked On Angels. Right now, we're 3 days a week until pitchers and catchers report. Just a little bit of a winter break, but we do have full episodes Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then we'll be back to 5 days a week when the pitchers and catchers all gather down in Tempe, Arizona. On today's show, do the prospect rankings actually matter? We have some examples of, well, I should say Mike has some examples. Now I'll join in on the conversation too, of why they really shouldn't matter to us all that much. And maybe that speaks to us and the Angels' poorly ranked farm system. We'll get into all that. Roki Sasaki has met with a ton of different teams, Mike, and the Angels have not been on that list, but well, we'll get into the details of why we think there's a connection there. But first, do players want to build a winner or be part of a winner? Mike, where did this conversation spring up out from? Where did it come from?
Yeah, so it came from the conversation we had 2 days ago with Hye-Seong Kim signing with the Dodgers and the Angels offering him what is reportedly lower than what the Dodgers offered him. Now, there is another report out there that says, no, actually the higher offer was truer. And so there's a lot of conflicting reports. I'm going to lean in Jeff Fletcher's category. I trust him. He knows the Angels, right?
Let me just say something.
Yes, go ahead.
What's more, I wasn't here. I was sick when you talked about it. What's more believable? That the Angels offered more money or that they didn't offer enough money and beat the Dodgers at a contract? Right. Come on.
And so because of that conversation, one of our everydayers at Joshua Lopez on YouTube had an interesting comment. He asked a question. He said, do players not want to compete anymore? And this point is to what's happening in baseball right now. It seems like all the good players are going to the Dodgers, right? They're all going to these really good teams. Not always the case, because Corbin Burns did sign with the Diamondbacks, although they're not a bad team, right? In the World Series just a couple of years ago. But it seems like a lot of players are going to teams where they can win now instead of building a winner for the future. And so the question that Josh brought up is a question that you and I have wrestled with off the air just as baseball fans. John, what do you think motivates players today? Building a winner or going to a winner?
Can I have a third option?
Yeah.
Money. Cash.
Sure.
I will answer your question the way that you presented it, building a winner, going to a winner, but I am going to supersede it with cash, money, all of that, lifestyle, comfort. Look at Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns could have got buku bucks anywhere, but he did get paid very well by Arizona. Plus, taxes are better in Arizona.
Yeah.
His family is established in Arizona. So it's money and comfort, Mike. And that's really what it comes down to. And I understand that there's the idea that, this player wants to go here to be competitive and do this and do that and da-da-da-da-da. And, they've been a fan of this team for a long time. No, We have on very good authority from somebody who's been in baseball media for a very long time, Garrett Cole would have easily been an Angel in 2019 if they had just beat the Yankees offer, but it was the Yankees who got him. And then it was, oh, Garrett Cole, he's been a fan since he was 5 years old. Remember the sign? Well, they found the sign in the garage. Yeah, right. Get out of here. Somebody remade the sign and and make sure you like put a match up to it so it looks burnt, like it's been, old and sitting in the garage for a long time. Like, give me a break, right? So all that to say, building a winner versus going to a winner. I mean, look, there's people want to win. If the second thing I think underneath money is being a part of a team that's going to win. And we've talked about it on this show. The Angels are not going to attract anybody until they have a turnaround narrative season. Just like the Royals did, just like the Diamondbacks have done. Everybody has to have a turnaround narrative season, and the Angels are still in need of that. I think that this can be a narrative turnaround on the Angels, especially with the young talent that they have. Just posted a great video on social media, reposted on Twitter of Jack Hanowitz putting in some work and working on, his stuff and working on his velo and everything. Like, that's exciting. And I think that's exciting for players to be around. But look, Vladdy Sr. came here 2 years after the Angels won the World Series, right? Bartolo came the year after that. The Angels were successful all through the 2000s, except for that 2003 season. Obviously, they kind of had a World Series hangover, but there was promise here. I think it's the same reason why Corbin Burnes went to the Diamondbacks. There was promise there. We shared his comments on this show from back in August or June or something of, hey, what are you going to look for in a team in free agency? And he's like, I want to know if their developmental system is good. I want to know if they got a young core who, we might not be there tomorrow, but maybe in the next few years we'll get there. And we kind of felt like, that the Angels kind of fit that narrative, like a team on the come up, but it's really hard to come off a 99 loss season and try to convince people to be here. So in terms of going to a winner, I think that that's going to rank above building a winner, but I think above that is money, comfort, lifestyle, you name it.
Yeah, we had some good insight when we were at the Logan O'Hoppe Bowl from Logan O'Hoppe. He made a comment in front of everybody. We've brought it up on the show, but he said that everyone hated the 99 losses that was next to their record, right? And for clarification's sake, let's just be clear that this team was not on pace for 99 losses until injuries happened and until they just decided to surrender the season in that last month and a half, right?
Like, trade people and
exactly. So when people say, oh, 99 losses, this team sucks. Like, yeah, that was with a lot of injuries. That was with a lot of their players out. That was with trading some of the major players and running with the young guys, giving them an opportunity. Let's pump the brakes.
I said it the other day. You're going to blame Zach Neto for 99 losses. You're going to blame Logan O'Hoppe. I don't think so. No, let's not do that.
Yeah. So O'Hoppe mentioned that. And then we got to speak with his family, and they're everydayers. They listen to the show. And that was kind of cool to be able to hear from mom and dad O'Hoppe saying that Logan really wants to win. And the other players that they've interacted with really want to win. And they're driving themselves to win this year. And it's admirable and it's exciting. John, do you think that a Logan O'Hoppe, Zach Neto, Nolan Shawnuel, Ben Joyce roster is attractive to free agents, even though they haven't won for 10 years? What do you think?
Yeah, I think people are going to start to take notice of that. But again, it's got to be a narrative turnaround kind of season. And I think 2025 can be that. But these guys have to put up another season of what they did last year. And they have a floor now. And I think they have to improve upon that. Last year we said no expectations. This year I'm going to say some expectations. Yeah. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And I say that because we've seen what these young guys can do. We've seen what they're capable of, but we also see where they can go. I talked about Nolan Shawnuel being a better hit for average kind of guy, and he might not be the power guy. He certainly sacrificed average for power to start the season, and then halfway through, not even halfway through, he changed his approach to be more of a contact guy, 280 the rest of the way, right? Same thing with Logan O'Hoppe. We saw the impact of catching so many games and how that affected him toward the end of the season. I think with d'Arnaud there, who's going to help him be a better defensive catcher and give him some time off of his feet, give him some more days off, because when you can replace Logan O'Hoppe with Travis d'Arnaud instead of Matt Thaiss, you feel a little bit more comfortable with that your offense isn't going to plummet. Your pitchers aren't going to struggle because you have somebody behind the dish who isn't, I don't know, calling a good game or what have you or whatnot, or lobbing rainbow throws back to you at the mound. I'm so glad we don't have to see that anymore. But it's got to be a narrative shifting season where they make people take notice. And that's why you and I will pound this into the ground. 2026 can be the start of a competitive window. And it all hinges on the fact that can they turn the narrative around on this team? You got to be 500.
Yeah.
You've got to be at least 500 so that people will take notice. So you went from 63 to 500. That's pretty good. 63 wins to 81 wins. That's a good step in the right direction. They've got to do more than what they've done this past season.
Do you think a 500 season, a competitive season, do you think that helps with whatever narrative is out there about Artie Moreno? Like if this team looks like they're on the come up, does that mean that Artie and his influence and lack of in certain areas will not be as heavy? Or do you even think that plays into decisions coming to Anaheim?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the mistakes that the Angels have made over the last 10, 12 years in terms of the guys that they brought on this team versus the guys that they should have brought back, like a Torrey Hunter or Zach Greinke or what have you, there's been a lot of mistakes made. And this is the first time that there's been some stability in this organization for a long time. And I think it has everything to do with Perry Manassian and the drafts that he's been able to do. And look, Mike, I know we complain about Artie and not going for the big free agent or the right free agent all the time. Is there anybody they've signed this offseason that's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why'd you pick that guy?
No, not yet.
Maybe Kyle Hendricks, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe, but at the same time, I've said it before, I'll say it again. His $2.5 million will be worth every penny if he can help get somebody like Reed Detmers right on the mound. If that's all he's good for, and he gives some innings, and he's, a average pitcher. That's the thing. Angels need league average pitching to be good. And they have some that's above that, and they've had a lot that's below that. So if they get guys who are, 100 ERA plus guys, then I'm fine with that.
Better than Canning, better than Sandoval.
Exactly. So all that to say, I think that if Perry Manassian can continue to convince Artie Moreno to spend money, but spend money wisely, and would it be great to have somebody like Corbin Burns, who could have been here for the long term, help guide this young team into a competitive window? Of course. Did they do that? No, but they're still talking about moves that are still out there. But in as much as they've spent so far, I don't see anything that's been a problem or a classic Artie move, right? And nothing been like that. Yeah. And they've had intentionality behind the signings that they've done so far, and I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that the only one that I would probably push back on is the one you brought up, Kyle Hendricks. But there is a benefit of having him on this team. If Kyle Hendricks is who he has been, last year was a bit of an anomaly, but even his last half of the season, he was better than Griffin Canning. Right. So having someone better than Griffin Canning as your number 4 or number 5 is better than having Griffin Canning in the starting rotation.
Well, and there's nothing wrong with, and I don't think they'll do this, because you have options with Kyle Hendricks of, maybe he goes to the bullpen or, if he's really bad or doesn't work out in the rotation, then you don't have to hit the eject button and fire him and release him. You can move him around and whatnot. At the same time, what you're going to get out of somebody like that because they've been there before. And that's the biggest thing. As we've always said, the Angels never get anybody who've been there before.
Yeah.
Right. We're not coming into this season going, man, I really hope George Clausen can, throw 180 innings. No, we're not doing that. And so you start with a veteran guy and assess where you are a few months in, and then you make some changes. Hey, you know what? Let's give Sam Aldeguerri that spot in the rotation versus Kyle Hendricks because it's not working out, and we're really excited about him. This is the year to do that. And I don't see any issue with, giving time to somebody to set the pace, set the tone, set the bar like Kyle Hendricks, and then you make your adjustments. And there's plenty of good pitching and plenty of good arms to go to. It's just that you're not asking them to do a full entire season from the get-goes. And I think that's a good place to be. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up on the show, do the prospect rankings even matter? Well, Mike says he's got some evidence. I think I've got some anecdotes to show that They might not. So we'll get into all of that coming right up.
Hey, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Rocket Money. It's a personal finance app that helps you to find and cancel those unwanted subscriptions. It helps monitor your spending, and it helps you lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. And it brings everything together all in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals that you want to hit in 2025. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Dang, that's a lot of canceled subscriptions. Plus, it's saving members an average of $740 a year when you're using its premium features. Plus, their goals feature helps you to automatically set aside money for the future, so there's no more stressing about a budget every single month. John, statistics say that right now, people don't have resource to get new tires on their car. Well, Rocket Money can help you set aside the resource in case those emergencies happen. So, hey, cancel those unwanted subscriptions. You don't need 65 Netflix anymore, right? You just get one or borrow it from John. Or cancel the other things that you have and reach your financial goals with Rocket Money. Go to their website right now, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Again, rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. And we're getting into a conversation that is sure to, people are going to jump in the comments. People are going to jump online. It's going to inspire a lot of conversation. Mike, you've got a bone to pick with prospect rankings. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, we titled this segment Bogus Prospect Ratings for two reasons. One, Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure is better than Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So that one's a better movie, by the way.
Okay.
So that's a hot take. Second, I really think that these rankings are kind of bogus because there's this inevitable conversation that comes up all the time when you talk about the Angels and that they haven't developed anybody and their minor leagues are crappy. And the evidence is there, and I get that. A part of the reason why they haven't developed anybody is because they've just moved them to the major league roster. And it's why their rankings haven't been so great, because a lot of their great players have been MLB ready or on the MLB roster. Now, their rankings currently, they've moved to like 22nd, but they were 4th when it comes to pitching. So that's better. But I think, honestly, John, the rankings that all of these organizations give to major league prospects and to Major League Baseball organizations are just to help those teams make trades. It feels like, right?
Yeah, I saw the conspiracy theory floating around Twitter about I think these journalists just pump up certain prospects on certain teams. I thought that was funny.
And here's some evidence, and you've got some anecdotal, I can't say it. You got anecdotal evidence as well. And so, for example, when the Dodgers signed Hye-Seong Kim, they DFA'd Diego Cartaya. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're not familiar with Cartaya, he was a top 100 prospect just a couple of years ago. In fact, he was in the top 20, and he was somebody that you and I actually talked about, I believe, on the original Super Halo Brothers podcast. If the Angels were to make a trade with the Dodgers, he would be somebody that we would be interested in going and grabbing. He was,
if the Angels trade Shohei, if they send him to the Dodgers, who would they get in return? And it's funny because I just saw a comment the other day of, if the Angels could have traded Shohei and gotten 4 or 5 prospects and reset the whole farm system.
Right.
Yeah. Like Diego Cartaya, who just got DFA'd. Talk to me about it.
he was ranked as the Dodgers' #1 prospect in 2022 and 2023. Probably would have been a part of a trade for Shohei Ohtani. Friends, now he's gone. He got designated for assignment. And I think that that's one of many examples of why these prospect rankings are kind of bogus. For example, in the trade for Mookie Betts, the Dodgers sent Jeter Downs to the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know where Jeter Downs is? He's not even in baseball. And he was supposed to be Derek Jeter. He actually was named after Derek Jeter.
Wow.
And so he is somebody that's not even in baseball now. He's been bounced around so much, not a great prospect. And that happens more often than it doesn't. I know that there are anomalies, and those will be the things that will be in the comments. What about? But the truth is, I think a lot of what we see out there, especially with the Dodgers, is that these guys get highly ranked, but they don't have high results. Like you have 2 examples in front of you, don't you?
I do, and it's going to look like I'm picking on the Dodgers, but I'm taking them because
I'm picking on the Dodgers.
Go for it. I'm using them because of just what's happened recently. Gavin Lux, Mike, they signed Hye-Seong Kim knowing that they were going to get rid of Gavin Lux.
Yeah.
They traded him, right?
Yeah.
And I know that he's had some injuries, and so he hasn't quite been able to do everything that has been expected of him. 2-time World Series champion. Well, 1.5, I guess you could say. But look, Baseball America had Gavin Lux as the 4th top prospect in baseball in 2020. And in prior to 2020, he was number 2 in baseball. Baseball Prospectus had him at number 3. And now he's with the Reds. And, it looked like a pretty good deal for the Reds. I think that the Angels and the Reds need to get together because they have 1 million infielders and we have 1 million outfielders. And Taylor Ward would be great in a Great American Ballpark. And I know Jeff Carr from Locked On Reds talked to us about Taylor Ward coming over there as well. So let's make a deal, Jeff Carr. Let's go. So, that's another thing is there's Gavin Lux, who highly touted all these years, but the Dodgers went and got Hye-Seong Kim for the exact Mike. They're running Mookie Betts at shortstop.
Yeah.
Over Gavin Lux. And Betts is good in the outfield. He's great in the outfield. And speaking of the outfield, you've got Andy Pages, who, again, the Angels were connected to prior to the 2020 season. It was going to be Taylor Ward, Luis Rengifo for Jock Peterson and Andy Pages. And then there was a pitcher in that deal.
Yep.
Was it Ross Stripling?
Yes, it was Ross Stripling.
His chicken strip, right?
Yep.
Excuse me. And, Andy Pages, top 100 in 2022, the 68th top 100 prospect, 81 in 2023. Baseball America had him at 96 in 2024. He came up, played 116 games in the outfield, a 102 OPS plus. So he's right a little bit above league average. But what did the Dodgers do? They've got Teoscar Hernandez. They've got Tommy Edman. They brought in Michael Conforto, right? There's no room for Andy Pages on this Dodgers team. And that might be more of they're in win now mode, right? They're not going to be patient. But I'm just saying, it just goes to show when there's highly touted prospects. Joe Adell, Mike.
Yeah.
Top 100 prospect, the highest the Angels have had in a very, very long time. Look, he's just now I'm a big believer in Joe Adell, right?
Right.
But I mean, if we're going off of, Joe Adell, what was he? Top 100? I want to say he was at least 8 at the time, in the top 100. And look where he's at. So these things don't always pan out. We even did an episode back when we were talking about, they got to trade Shohei, they got to do this. And we looked at, mid-season trades from the past, like Manny Machado and different guys like that, and looked at the prospects who came back. And Dean Kramer was part of the Machado trade, and Dean Kramer's not great. He's in the Orioles rotation. The Orioles are scrambling to put a rotation together right now. So it just goes to show that, we talk about, the Angels could have rebuilt this, they could have rebuilt that. There's no guarantees. And I even think, I will even contend, and Ken Rosenthal stole my idea from Locked On Angels the other day when I said, it might not be a bad year to sign somebody with a qualifying offer, considering the Angels have the number 2 pick. What did he say on Foul Territory yesterday? Well, it might not be a bad time for the Angels to sign somebody with a qualifying. So you're welcome, Ken. Anyway, I bring that up because do you want 5 years of, Santander or Alonso, knowing what you're going to get with those guys? Or are you going to count on the compensatory pick from round 2 or round 3 to bring you value in the years to come?
In 5 years.
In 5 years, right.
Yeah.
It's going to take that long unless it's, a college kid like Perry likes to do. All that to say, there's no guarantees in baseball, and prospects are exciting. They're fun to talk about. I think the Angels have plenty of good ones. But at the same time, rankings, right, Mike? That's what you're getting at here is the rankings part of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels like the rankings part of it is a bit gimmicky. Maybe bogus is a tough word, but maybe gimmicky is a better word. It feels like it's a little bit gimmicky, and it feels like there is a bias towards certain teams so that they can actually trade away their players. The Yankees have never had a bad farm system, as far as I can tell. Their rankings are always really high. Now, does that mean that they actually have a good farm system? more than likely, right?
But right now, I think it stinks. I think it's ranked low, but yeah, it's been a long time since they've.
The truth is, though, is that the reality is it feels like some of these greater teams get a little bit more preferential treatment when it comes to some of those players. Now, all that to say, Johnny, I think the Angels should take a chance on Diego Cartaya because he's a catcher, because they need depth. Now, here's what they're getting, though. They're getting somebody who struggled to hit, struggled to get on base, and struggled to hit with power. That's what they're getting from this guy, and somebody who did strike out a lot. And so that's the tension that you have with Cartaya. Now, he's only 23, and maybe he just needs to have a fresh perspective. I saw Jared Timms from Talking Halos tweet and say, I'd sign him and let him mash in the minor leagues for a couple of years. And when Jared says things like that, typically he's pretty spot on. So I think the Angels should take a chance with Cartaya. What do you think?
I think so too. I think you can never have enough catching depth. I mean, if you're going out and getting Chucky Robinson and whatnot because you're afraid of not having depth behind that.
Right.
And the Angels actually have some pretty good catching prospects, according to the scouts, right? Like they have some good catching prospects in the system, but I don't think it would hurt to have another catcher in the system, especially one who's been where Cartaya has been, and perhaps they can help get him right in their system.
Today's episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Gametime. John, when I did the show on my own because you were sickly, I got to share about how I went to see Back to the Future, the musical, on stage. Incredibly, incredibly, incredibly cheesy. But if you're a Back to the Future fan, you have to go and see it. It is so good. And we got our tickets on Gametime, and you can as well wherever you're going to go. Sports, concert, comedy, theater, so much more. Find your favorite tickets on Gametime. And they have a new feature called Gametime Picks. It filters out all of the fluff so that you can just get great deals on the seats that you actually would be willing to pay for, right? With Gametime Picks, I found amazing deals, and then I also was able to see where I was going to sit, so it was super helpful for us. We were 3 rows back. It was so good. I got to see Doc Brown up close. It was awesome. They also have the super deal on Gametime, and this helps you find some unbeatable prices, and of course, the all-in pricing in the app is great. Shows the cost all up front, no surprise fees. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account, use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
Roki Sasaki, Michael, has reportedly met with 7 MLB teams: Yankees, Dodgers, Padres, Cubs, Mets, Rangers, Giants. No mention of the Angels. However, that doesn't mean there wasn't a mystery team, right? And a mystery meeting. There was a report on Tuesday that there was a mystery team.
There's always a mystery team.
There's always a mystery team. And sometimes it feels like it's always the Angels for some reason.
Right, yeah.
Now, teams are waiting on Roki Sasaki to make his decision. It's going to happen after January 15th when international signings can start. The bonus pools, again, this is the pool of money that you can pay for and sign international free agents out of. Amateur free agents, right? Roki falls under that amateur international free agent label, kind of like Shohei Ohtani did. So that's the difference between like Yamamoto was over the age where he's not an international free agent. An amateur free agent. So he got to sign for buku bucks with the Dodgers. Roki is under that age, so he still qualifies as an amateur international free agent. So you can only sign him out of the bonus pool money. Now, some teams have $7.5 million to spend. Dodgers and Giants are down at the bottom with $5.1 million to spend. The Angels are right in the middle, $6.2 million to spend, but that puts them in line with the Braves and the Red Sox, the Cubs, Mets, White Sox, Yankees, Phillies, all that. And this is important because you kind of have to think about how you go about this international amateur free agent signing window, because do you give your bonus pool, the whole of it, to Roki Sasaki?
Yeah.
Or do you miss out on, and by doing so, do you miss out on international amateur free agents that you could be signing from all over the world and Latin America, right? And things like that. And so you don't want to miss out. So there's a delicate balance there. The Yankees, according to Sports Illustrated, have been rumored to be the favorites.
Yeah.
Mike, since the Halos are tied to everyone these days, Pete Alonso and now Bregman and Santander and Roki Sasaki, do they have a chance here? What do you think?
My gut says that they're not even in contention for this, but that was also the rumor when it came to Shohei Ohtani.
Sure.
And then kind of out of the blue, they signed Shohei Ohtani. John, I would give all of the bonus pool money to Sasaki this year because I think that what you get is a major league quality starter at league minimum, right? And so, you're essentially giving him about $7 million, but then you're going to give him league minimum for up until, he's arbitration eligible. And so I think I would go all in. If he was going to sign with me, I would go all in and give him all of the resource. I know that there's some other names that the Angels are tied to in the international world, but I think with Roki, is he a guarantee? Because I feel like he's a guarantee if he signs with any team. He's a guy that's going to be in the 2025 rotation, right?
Oh, for sure. There's just some concern about velo and things that have, kind of dipped a little bit, but I still think he's going to be a stud. I'm keep going because I'm looking up something. I want to see how the Angels handled the 2017 international amateur free agent signings. I'm looking at the transaction log because I'm interested to see how did they handle getting Shohei and who they signed and whatnot. So you pick up that convo because let me look and see what they did here.
Yeah. Well, right now the Angels, as you mentioned, they're kind of in the middle of the pack when it comes to bonus pool money. They're at 6.2 million. There are teams ahead of them, 7.5 and 6.9. So the 7.5 are the Reds, Tigers, Marlins, Brewers, Twins, A's, Mariners, and Rays. And then 6.9 million are the D-backs, the O's, the Guards, the Rockies, the Royals, and the Pirates. All of that to say, this isn't going to be one of those moments where the highest bidder wins, because the rumors are if he goes to the Yanks or if he goes to the Dodgers, the Yankees, if they give all of their money, they can only give $6.2 million to Sasaki. If he goes to the Dodgers, they can only give him $5.1 million. And we also have to think through, you lose money if you sign players with qualifying offers. So some of these numbers may not be accurate as of right now because you lose $500K when you sign a player with a qualifying offer. So the Angels signed Santander, they would lose and move down. Right now they're at 6.2, so they would lose $500K of that. So they would fall under 6 million in their bonus money. So that's all of the tension that they're wrestling through. Bottom line is it doesn't seem like he's coming in our direction. But again, we didn't know that with Shohei Ohtani. What'd you find as you were looking at the stats?
I don't see the Angels. Now, I could be looking in the wrong spot. I am looking on Baseball Reference. According to the transaction log, didn't seem like they did a lot in international free agency that year.
Yeah.
Now, they did sign Shohei before. Oh, you know what? I know what the issue is. This is going to need to be a follow-up conversation.
Yeah.
Because, remember, I think COVID moved international amateur free agent signings to January. So back then it was not the beginning of the year. I could be wrong. Let me do my research on this. Maybe it'll be a good quick hits episode or something.
Let's bring it up on Friday perhaps. Huh?
Or we can do it on Friday too. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB with our friend Sully. His show is on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Sitting here on Baseball Reference going, where's all the international free? Oh, wait a second.
There was a pandemic.
Things got moved around. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to today's show on YouTube. Get in the comment section. Help us get to 10K by opening day by hitting that subscribe button. Mike, what do we have on deck for Friday's show?
There's big questions heading into 2025. So, John, let's ask those big questions and let's answer those big questions with who on the Angels team or who they could potentially sign that could answer those questions for them in 2025. A lot of questions. If you have questions about this team or if you're wondering what those big questions are or you have thoughts about that, put it in the comments because we're going to address all of those big questions on Friday on Locked On Angels.
Looking forward to that. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Friday.
I can hear my voice echo in my head.
Can you hear the wind outside my house? It's insane right now.
It's wild.